All right, I'm going to put this on because I don't think this records as well far away. Okay, so the microphone is green means it's going. Yeah, I can see it's going. Okay. All right, so I'm going to screen share, entire screen, and present to everyone. Okay. All right, great. So I think this is working. Like I said, I'll post this after class. What I had planned to do is have this already. We're going to create a web mapping service that we can see that's going to use GeoServer. Okay, and so the cool thing about this is that we're going to use a piece of software that is effectively free to use. You know, if you have problems, there's not really anybody to talk to unless you want to pay them to talk to you. But that's one of the trade-offs with free and open source software versus there's not anybody official. I mean, there's actually lots of forums and things online that will help you learn about how to use this and other open source software packages, but there's not a company you can go to that's obligated to help you, if you will. So that's exciting that if there's a particular web mapping project that you end up doing in your lifetime or for your work or whatever, and you can utilize a free package to do it rather than a commercially available package, it can be quite useful. So we're gonna learn about that. Like I said in this text, you're not required to create a WMS. You can use ArcGIS Server when you do your term project, but you can use this one if you choose. And even though it is open source software, it still has a lot of cool features, and I would say that it's almost as easy to use. And for particular things, it is quite easy. And so what we're going to do, since on Wednesday we didn't have Tuesday we didn't have an assignment, today what we're going to do is walk through creating a WMS, and then we're going to I don't quite have the text ready to do styling. That's why I haven't published this completely yet. Then we're going to style it, and then we're going to view it in ArcGIS, because we can add a WMS right to ArcGIS once it's created. So we're going to do that, and then next week when we meet on Tuesday, we'll start utilizing these in web clients. All right. So I'm going to walk through this. And the assignment is going to be you publishing some of your own data to the WMS server, okay, to the GeoServer. That's what the assignment's going to be, and answering a few questions, which I'll post. And I'm not even going to be around here next Thursday, so this assignment won't be due for basically a week and a half. So that even if I don't post this final assignment until tomorrow, you'll still have plenty of time to complete it. So just a reminder, I'll be here next Tuesday, but next Thursday, I won't be here, and we won't have class. Okay, so both campuses know that. I'll try to send out a bulk email using the email system, but as a reminder, I won't be around next Thursday, so there's no class that day. Okay. All right, so we're going to step through this. I don't think I need to have this open to actually do it, so I'm just going to minimize this and start doing it. We're not going to need our catalog today. We could use it. It's always nice to use our catalog to look at some data, but I'm just going to close this because I don't think I'm going to use it today. Okay, I'm going to close that because you already have it. And then what I'm going to do, the first thing that I'm going to do is introduce you to the GeoServer interface. Okay, so I set up GeoServer. And so in fact, if you go to GeoServer, install, Windows. If you Googled that and you went here, all I did actually was what's listed here. I installed GeoServer. Now, unlike ArcGIS Server, uh, you could install this on your own personal machine. In fact, you can install this on these machines. It wouldn't be a big deal. But then you really wouldn't be able to see that information except for from that machine, because these machines aren't even open, across the hall or anything. But you can install this on a home machine, and you could do many of these exercises from home. Okay, but again, you'd only have that machine availability in your home, unless you paid for a static IP address from your cable internet provider or whatnot. All right, but the point is, you can install this on any Windows machine, and you'd walk through this, and that's what I did. And so instead of walking through the installation, which was pretty easy, the hardest part really is installing this thing called the Java environment. Okay? Java is a computer program that actually sits on top of other operating systems and serves as kind of like a go-between. So the computer program Java, it's a computer programming language that people write in, and when you execute and tell the computer program to run, it handles then turning the code that you wrote into the code that will run on that particular machine. So if it needs to run on a Windows machine, it turns it into code that'll run on a Windows machine. If it needs to run on a Linux machine, so it makes it platform independent. You still have to install Java on that machine, but once you install Java, code that would run on a Windows machine will also run on a Linux machine or Mac. Okay, so that's what that is in a nutshell. I mean, obviously this course isn't about learning Java, but GeoServer was written in Java, and so you have to install that runtime environment just so that it understands the Java code that's been written, and then is able to make it work on Windows. All right, so I installed that, and it exists. So the URL to our GeoServer instance is 10.64.78.100, and then you type in :8080 slash GeoServer. GeoServer, :8080 slash GeoServer. So now you can see the web page itself. This is the way it looks. And in order to start seeing things that are published on the server, we could hit Layer Preview. It comes with a ton of data already added, and we could go in and clean that up. But these are just examples in case you want to know how they set it up. Okay, in case you want to look at the situation. So you could click on any of these and see their data served up. So here's states USA population. Okay, so that's a map that they've published. You can see that this is an internet map. I can zoom in, I can zoom out, and this is a dynamic WMS service that's been created on the server. So we're going to put our own data on the server. That's what we're going to do today. Well, as an intermediate step, you're going to put on data that I'm telling you about, and then you'll have that example. Also, in the walkthrough, you can do it, and then you can put your own data in as the assignment, as the work on your own. Okay, so that's the GeoServer interface. Oh, like I said, the username and password here is admin, ADMIN, and the password is the default password. I meant to change it, but I forgot. So it's GeoServer, all lowercase. Admin, GeoServer. You can click Remember Me and hit Login. And then at that point, you'll be inside the GeoServer. Okay. All right. Now, before we put our data onto the geo server, we need to put our data into a location where the geo server can see our data. Because right now, the geo server is sitting in my office, still on a cart. I'm going to put it into a rack eventually, but it's sitting on a cart in my office, and your data, well, you haven't even downloaded it yet. Let's download the data. If you go to usm.blackboard.com and go to this week's lecture, or this week's meeting, so go to web mapping, and then go to course materials and week 4. If you go down here to data for lab, that's the data that we're going to utilize. Okay, so take that and download it. See, I've already downloaded it once, so I didn't need to do that. What? Oh no. Is it empty for everybody else? Okay. I don't know what happened. Neighborhoods. Hold on just a second. This is an easy problem to solve. Oops. Okay. Where's my little edit button? Edit. Okay. All right, let's down. No, that's, see, before it said 22 bytes. Now it says a lot more bytes. So try refreshing the page and downloading it again, and it should have the data that you need in there. Is that working out for y'all? Okay, great. So we've got the neighborhoods.dbf. This is a shapefile. If we wanted to, like I said, if we wanted to open up in our catalog, we could see that it's a shapefile. It's a shapefile that I've already put into Web Mercator. So I didn't think I needed to redo that step, because whatever data you end up downloading to put on your data, remember to do that. Put it in 3857. So we need to take this data and we need to put that data onto the server. So what I want you to do is go under this PC, right click and say map network drive. Okay. What does it mean to map a network drive? I'm sure some people have done that before. What does that mean? Anybody know? Okay, so maybe not. But basically what we're doing here is we're going to create a drive, a virtual drive on the machine you're working on that's really going to be a drive on the server. And I've enabled the server to share a drive. So you're going to see, it's like you're looking onto the file system of the server when you do this. And so you're gonna, right here, you're gonna type in // and then you're gonna put the IP address again, which I should have memorized, 10. It's 10.64.78 dot 100 and then slash geo server data. I'm not sure if the uppercase, lowercase matters, but every individual word in that, the G, the S, and the D are capitalized. Everything else is lowercase. So slash geo server data. And then when you hit finish, it should ask you to enter your credentials, okay? Is everybody at that screen that wants to be at that screen? Okay, your credentials. What about on the coast? Is it asking you for credentials? What's it doing? I'm sorry? Okay. Now, maybe in some versions of Windows, did you click connect using different credentials? Okay. All right. See what happens if you do that. There's a quick workaround for this right now if this doesn't work, and perhaps if this doesn't work, what I'll need to do is see if file sharing, for some reason, maybe file sharing only works local to like this building or something. I'm not sure, but everybody here is getting this message right now. Okay, so I'm going to type in the username, which is going to be mapper, all lowercase, and the password is the same as the password we've been using: capital W, 3, capital B, M at PPER. I'm going to say okay, and then you should have a drive, and everything should be good. All right, now. On the coast, if this didn't work for you, what we're going to do is work around that today. By how many people are in class today? I know there's at least one. Is anybody? Just one? Okay, well that'll make it easy. Okay. Your last name starts with a B, right? How do you spell it? Oh, like that? All right. So I'm going to put the data, because the only thing that you're going to do on this server is put the data up there. So once the data is up there, you can follow along with the rest of everybody else. Okay. So everybody else, you create a folder with your last name, and then what I want you to do is, wherever I put it, copy the data from that directory. So if you go into neighborhoods, copy that neighborhood's data into that directory. Okay. So it should look like that. Worst case scenario is that on the coast, what we have to do is I have to set up an FTP server on this machine, and you have to FTP into it, but the end result would be the same. You're copying the data onto the server. Okay. This is something that even ArcGIS a few versions ago, you had to do this. Okay? The server had to be able to see the data. Okay. Now you'll notice that when we published our data, last week, last Tuesday in ArcGIS server, it asked if we wanted the data to be uploaded automatically. Okay, it's pretty cool invention. Although it's transporting that data through the internet, and not just it's transporting it through the same protocol that you use to make web requests, and so it can be very slow. So even in ArcGIS, people often want to do it this way. We haven't showed you how to do it, but up to this point, it would be exactly the same. Okay. you have to physically copy your data onto the server. And that's what we're doing. We're copying our data onto the server so that then we can utilize that data on the server. Okay. So however you get your data up there, it looks like we all of us have a directory now, and we should be good. So I've created this data. Your directory down on the coast is BOLIN. Did I spell that right? And it's got the data in it. You don't need to see it anymore. Actually, once it's on the server, you could disconnect this, and you'd be set. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna close this. In fact, all up. Okay. Close that down. I'll close this down. I'm gonna go back to the Geo server. Okay. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to create a new workspace. Everybody's going to have their own workspace. Okay. Notice I've already created my Raber workspace, but I'll create another one called George just for fun. So everybody's going to go in here and say Add New Workspace. Okay. All right. The name of your workspace is going to just, again, be your last name. You could make it different if you wanted to, but this will be your workspace. Workspace is kind of like the equivalent of a folder in the ArcGIS server world. So I'm gonna call it George this time so that it's not duplicate. I'll go back and delete them all eventually. Hold on a second. Sorry if I went too fast. Okay, so first you have to log in. It's admin and GeoServer. Anybody else? You don't need to install it. You're using GeoServer. I was just telling you what I did to install it. Anybody else? Everybody else at this screen? The URL at the top, 10.64.78.100. So this is how you get to this. Put it in a web browser. And then if you haven't logged in, you have to log in. All right, I'm back. So for the namespace URI, what I want you to do is go up to the top and copy just this portion and then paste it right here. And then slash, again, the name of your workspace. Make sure that you don't check default workspace. All right. So that is, that's what you need to do. And then hit submit once you get to this point. Now, it looks like we already have some people that have completed it. And hopefully that worked from the coast. Did that work from the coast? It wouldn't upload. What do you mean? When you went to what? You mean in Windows Explorer? Yeah. So yeah, I did that. I did that for you. It may be something is not working for the pipe, but that doesn't matter. I put it there, and you'll be able to use it now. So were you able to create a workspace here? Okay, so go to Workspaces, and then say Add New Workspace. and type in your name, and then it should look like this. I'm not going to press go again, but put your last name and then put this /George. I'm not going to hit go again, otherwise it'll have an issue. That's what it should look like, except for with your last name. Okay. All right, then hit submit, and you should come to this screen here. Okay, everybody see their name there? Are y'all having an issue getting to that site down there? Okay, so it's 10.64.78.100:8080. Can you, maybe you can't see this? Can you see this? See what I have highlighted? Okay, type that into a web browser. Just that part that I have highlighted. Then we press enter. So are you there? Did a web page load, or is it not loading up? Okay, so no, don't click the default workspace button. And then here, remember to type in your name and then this / your name again. So, okay. All right, I see it. Good. Okay, good. So now we're all together. All right, so the next thing that we're going to do is add a store. Now, a store is a location where you put data. An ArcGIS server calls it the exact same thing. They call it a data store, not a store. So a store tells GeoServer where the data is on the local machine. So if I go to stores, I see a list of all the stores that are already here. And the store is simply an area where we have data. So we're going to create a new store. And we're going to tell it where some data is on our computer. So if you hit add new store, you'll see that there are some options. Probably the most common for at least the first little while that we do this is a directory of spatial files. Those are otherwise known as shape files. And then there are a number of other stores that we'll get to. Not all of them, but we'll get to some of them later in the course, like PostGIS. We'll get to that one later in the course for sure. But there's some other options. Notice that raster is actually separate. Okay, probably one of the biggest differences between the two is that the open source and ArcGIS server is that we don't use like a map document to publish. We publish the layers, and we can then mix the layers to make a multi-layer service. But for right now, we're just going to publish a single layer. And so what we're going to do is click the very first one, the directory of spatial files. Okay. We could publish an individual shapefile, but this way, if we create a directory of spatial files, then we can put more data there later. Okay. All right. Now, all right. I actually see that I kind of let's let me go back here for just a second. You know, on the coast you can't go back here, but it looks like, yeah, I had meant to create a subfolder inside of your folder. Okay, I messed up. So why don't we do that really quickly? So everybody go into their folder, their own folder, and I'll go into yours for you on the coast. Go into your folder, create a new folder, and call this, I'm just going to write Philly because I don't know how to spell Philadelphia off the top of my head. But this is in Philadelphia. And we're going to copy all of the Philly data, the data into the Philly folder. Okay. So I just did that. I just did that for you on the coast. Because this single folder is going to be for all of your data, no matter what. So you're going to probably have multiple data stores, and you don't want to call this data store Philadelphia and then have to always remember that it was called Philadelphia. Okay. All right. So let me make sure that that's going on. Yep. Good job. Yep. You spelled Philadelphia. That's great. Good. All right. Oh yeah, that was my first go around. All right. Is Jan still here? Did you want to do that, Mr. Jan? Did you want to move your folder into Philly? Make a folder called Philly. I just did it in that folder. I just did it for you. So now in the future you'll have that. Okay. So we're all set. So hit directory of spatial files. Now we're going to set up our new data source, and we're going to put it in our workspace, the the George workspace. You go ahead and select, you know, on the coast you select, how do you say it? Bolin? Bolin. You select Bolin, and you know, you select Summerall, whatever your folder is, you select it. Okay. Now, by the way, when you publish your own data next time, that first step where you created your own workspace, you don't have to do that again. Okay. But if you want to publish your own data next time, you will do this, especially if you want to have like multiple files in that. We only have one file in this workspace. So our data source name is going to be the whatever we want it to be that's useful. If you could spell Philadelphia, write in Philadelphia. If not, just write Philly. That's fine. You could. This is not the same as the name of the folder, but it can be. So you can make it whatever you want it to be. Okay. All right. Description. You could just say data about Philly neighborhoods. Rendering with no. Okay, so everything else we're gonna leave, but we're gonna have to change this. Okay, this is what we want to change, and we want our directory of shapefiles to be the location where our data is stored. Now, you might think, oh, our data is stored under Z. It's not, okay? It's stored on Z on this machine or whatever drive it's mapped to on your machine, okay? But the full path, I'll go ahead and type the full path in here. And you're going to have to type in this, is actually G. On the server, this directory is known as the G drive. G/geodata server / whatever your last name is. So I'm going to type in George. That's actually my first name. And then / and make sure that you do capitalize that the same. Then George slash the name of the directory that you put the data in. So it should look like that. Geodata server, George, Philly. Should be all good. So it should look like that. So that is actually the path to this data on the server. Now, what could be as an alternative is, let's say your data server was a whole separate machine. You could map a network drive on your machine and call it, drive Q. And then you could map a network drive on the server and call it drive Q. And in both cases, it would go to the same drive and it would have the same path. Okay, that's how it's done a lot in production environments. The data server, since it's a different machine, if it can be accessed using the exact same path name, then you can put the exact same path name. Okay, but in here we can't. So we're going to do this way. Okay, so we're going to paste that. See if we, what if we went to file? Oh, let's see if it'll. Yeah, that's not going to work because we're looking at our local drive here. So what we're going to do is right click and paste what I just told you: g:/geodata server /George/Philly. I forgot whether you need the G:. I'm pretty sure that you. I mean, I forgot whether you need the file. I did do this beforehand so that I would have it. Let's see what I put in my notes. My notes, I think I took it out. I'm gonna try taking it out. I don't know that it matters or not, but I'm just gonna try pasting that whole thing there. So this part is up to you. Okay, it'll be different for everybody here because you put a different file, you put a different name and a different subfolder name. Like for Joseph, it would be Jan, and I typed in Philly, so it'd still be that. So for you, it'd be that. And for me, it's going to be lowercase George /Philly. All right. When you have that done, go ahead and hit save. Everybody else get that same message? Okay. Hold on just a second. I don't even see George in there. Oh, that's because, just a second. I didn't actually upload my data on there, did I? I said I'd already done that. No? Hold on. New folder. Philly. Paste. Okay, it looked like it did append that file there. That's fine. Okay. We're having a... Oh. This worked just a few minutes ago. lab I was typing up. Okay. So all of a sudden that worked. Okay. Okay, so it did work for you. Oh, okay. All right, good. So that was my mistake. All right, so everybody go back to. I'm gonna delete this one right here, George Philly, and remove that store, and we're gonna do it again. So it worked for. It looks like it's working for a few of you right now. I'm gonna go back and add a new store. So the issue that I had was that I typed the name wrong. So now I'll redo this. So this is going to be a Philly, and then here when I cut and pasted it, it worked. The reason why it worked when I cut and pasted it is because I did it right. Instead of saying geo data server, I said geo server data. My mistake. / George or whatever it is for you / Philly or whatever it is for you. For George isn't going to work for me because I didn't copy the data over, so I'll use the first time. So it's / Raber / Philly. Okay. All right. So hit save when you're done. Just a second. Make a folder, subfolder in that one called Philly or Philadelphia, and then you'll be all set. Okay, let me look here. So now, now we have. Sorry, let me put this back on. So now we've created our new layer, and our new data store, and we're basically right up to about here. This is my text, and so you'll see this neighborhoods, and we still haven't created a new layer that can be seen on ArcGIS server. I mean on GeoServer yet. So the last step that we need to do is actually publish this. So if you hit publish, okay, you'll see here that you have some options to add things like that. You could change the title at this point. It read the title from the shapefile name. That's how it got the title. So if you wanted to call it something else, you could change that right here. Okay, you change the neighbor, you could change that. You could change everything that you want. One thing that we do want to include here is we want to tell the WMS when it publishes, we want to tell it that the native SRS is something, and it didn't actually. Yeah, well, we can go ahead and find that because it didn't actually do that. So we hit find, and if you hit find and you just type in 3857, and press enter, it will pull up the one that it is. Okay. So now it's going to be 3857. Okay. So that's the coordinate system. Now, some clients will say, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and add that data, but some clients want to know where in the world is your data set. Otherwise, when I add your data, I just have to add it to the map. What if it's like, what if the current extent of the map is in Europe somewhere? It's not, we're not even going to see Philadelphia. And so sometimes it's useful for the client to know where the data actually exists. Where on disk it, I mean, not where on disk, where in the world it is. And so to do that, you can compute from the data what the extent is. And that way, that information gets published as part of the XML that gets exchanged back and forth. So a request can be made from a client, say, where's the extent? Here's the extent, so that when I first show it, it'll pop into the right place. Okay, so that's what you need to type that if you type it. All right. The rest of this we're just going to leave with the defaults for now, finally we're going to hit save. Now you could like sort this by store, and I can see that Cody has published his, and maybe I have to hit refresh. Okay. Nicole published hers. Matt, you've published yours. We're all set. So now, if you go into layer preview, you can see the layer you've just published and see if it actually worked. Let's look at any one of these. Cody, we're going to look at yours. So Cody has worked. See, I'm looking at Cody's right now. You can close that up, and I can see Matt's worked. Sorry, should have turned that off. Okay, there we go. So so Cody's worked, Matt's worked, Lamar, yours worked, and actually the interface that you're seeing this in right now is in a web client called Open Layers. Okay, we're going to learn a little bit about Open Layers, but there are other web clients that you can view these sorts of things in. Okay. All right. Now, what happens if we wanted to see our data in WMS in a different thing? It looks like Open Layers is really the only option. All right, never mind. The only dynamic option. All right. All right. So we've published our data, and it's up. And the other thing that I wanted to do for the lab is modify the styling of that particular layer, modify how it looked. I didn't quite get to this write-up. That's why I need to add the write-up. But I'll show you here really quickly. If you go back to the layers and you go to your layer, I forgot what I was going to, I just remembered what I was going to ask. Is there anybody that has a question, is stuck, that wants to get to this point? How about on the coast? Are you stuck somewhere? It looks like maybe. Okay. So that was under stores. This is where you got your error? Okay. Let me try to see what it says on my end if I type that. Okay. So I'm going to create the data store inside of, and then the data source name is going to be Philly. And then here is where we geo server data. Is this what you typed in this box right here? Okay. Is it still pulled up on your machine? Okay. So if you hit save, it just doesn't work. It has that red message at the bottom. Let's see what happens if I do it. All right. Okay. It worked on my end. Let's try it. Stores. Why don't you try refreshing the page? I'm going to delete the one I just created. Okay. So now go back to the first screen. So go back to Geo Servers, this screen, and then hit Stores, and then hit Add New Store, Directory of Spatial Data, and type in your first workspace should be Berlin. This should be Philly, and then go ahead and leave description blank. Down here, type in Bolin/Philly, GHY, and see if that works. Got this exact thing and hit save. Same error. Okay. Well, I might have to travel down to the coast and find out why that is. I'll go ahead and save it here, so you have it's been created now for you. So now, if you went back to stores and went to your store, now that's there. Okay. Oh wait, I should have clicked on go to Berlin and then hit Philly. No, that's not what we want. Layers. Yeah, okay. So this is how you'd get to see if this works for you. Go to layers and hit add new resources. This is how you, like, if let's say you created the data store and then you left your computer and it rebooted and you didn't have that little publish button. This is how you get back to it. So you go to layers, go to add new resource, and then choose Bolin Philly, and then hit publish on your end. Now, what you need to do is the only things that you need to change are under declared SRS, hit find, type in 3857, hit enter, and then choose the only one that pops up. And then under native bounding box, hit compute from data, and lat long bounding box, hit compute from native bounds. At that point, you should be good. Then hit save, and you'll be done. Okay, I'm not going to hit save. I'm just going to go back to layers. All right. So when you hit save, what happened? Nothing at all. Yes. Well, hit search, and then under search, hit 3857, and the only one that pops up. Okay, and then yeah. All right. So once you have a layer created like this, what we're going to do is look under George or under whatever one you created. If you click neighborhoods and you go to publishing, you can see that that it has a style associated with it. And right now you can see that it's just a polygon that looks like this. Okay. But there are other styles that we could change it to. There's one called green. So if you went and changed it to green, it would show up green. And if you changed it to, I don't know, see if there's any other. There's no other good ones that'll probably there's none others that'll work, because it actually won't work with a with a layer that it's not meant for. So if it's a polygon layer, it'll work for polygon symbol. Like this is a polygon symbol. So if I change this to green and hit save, now when I go back to layer preview for, what was that, George neighborhoods, it's green. So I changed it. Okay. Now that's great, but what if I wanted it brown or pink or purple, or what if I want it symbolized by population or what? Okay. Well, to do that, I have to go in and I have to edit the styles. So this is one thing that probably makes it significantly more difficult than in ArcMap. Because in ArcMap, you just get it the way you want it, you publish it, and it looks that way. Here, GeoServer developed as a totally separate product from all the open source desktop data. And so there actually are some nice ways to make these files. These files are called SLD files, style layer descriptors. Okay. So if you look at green's descriptor right now, this is the way it looks. Okay, it's an XML file, and it has a parameter for the fill, and there's probably a parameter for the outline. Where'd that be? Green polygon. Maybe the stroke is just the default. Maybe the black line is just a default stroke. Okay. If I take this data right here and I copy this data, so I'm going to take it. You can do this if you want to, or you can just watch. If I copy this data and I say that I want to, it's not letting me do copy, so I'm just going to take it. I'm going to say Control C, and I'm going to then go back to styles and add my own style and call this blue and paste it in there. I can, or I guess I could have just copied it from an existing style. I'm going to put this in my style thing, so I'm going to put it in George, A-B George, and I'm going to change the name of the style to blue, name to green, the layer to blue, and I'm going to change this right here. So this is a hex number that represents a color. Is anybody familiar with that? Some people are familiar. If you're not, you could just say hex color picker. The internet uses these a lot. Okay, so you get familiar with these. So I'm going to choose this blue right here. It looks like it's maybe this blue, or sorry, it's that blue right there. So I'm going to choose that blue, and I'm going to paste it into that location. Doesn't let me paste there, so I'm going to Control V, which is paste. I'm going to make sure this says blue too. So this is just for informational purposes only. All right. So I've saved all that information and I hit validate. No validation errors. I hit submit. And so now I have George blue. And I can go back to my layers, George, and make sure I hit neighborhoods and change the default style to George blue and hit save. So now when I go back to the layer preview, I'll be able to see under George neighborhoods, and it's blue now. Okay. All right. Okay. So I'm going to type that up a little bit better in a walkthrough. But what you're gonna do for your assignment is to basically publish some of your own data that you choose. This can be the same exact data that you published for the ArcGIS one, or it can be new data that you just downloaded. But again, try to change the coordinate system to 3857 so that you can utilize that data. All right. Okay. Now, you see this. You see this URL here. We should be able to take this, and I have not tested this yet, so hopefully this works. But I should be able to take this URL now and look at this in Arc. First, I'll look at it in Arc catalog. I'll add it. So I copied that URL, that WMS URL, and I'm going to try to add a WMS server and put that URL there and say get layers. Yep, there it goes. So your URL will look different, okay? But here's my my WMS, and I can add the neighborhoods. I don't need to do a username and password, I'm pretty sure. Now I can double click into that guy and look at neighborhoods, and it's there. And the default it shows it in decimal degrees, so the coordinate system's actually been changed. But I could view this anywhere. I could view it on ArcGIS online as well. Because ArcGIS Online allows people to add a layer from the web, and that layer can be a WMS. So I can add that layer, and hit add layer. And even though this is, you know, a commercial product, because they've implemented this open standard, it should work. I might have to give it the full URL. It might be that it wants to just add a single layer. If this doesn't pull up quickly, what it probably wants is everything. Well, probably not that. Let's see if this works. Anyway, it worked in Arc Map. It should work here if it works in Arc Map. But there are third-party applications for exporting layers to different things. This third-party application costs some money, but you can find free ones. Maybe I'll put links to some of those. Okay. Oh, you know what? The reason why this doesn't work in ArcGIS Server, I mean in ArcGIS Online, isn't because the URL is wrong. The URL is right. It's because ArcGIS Online isn't on campus, and so it's trying to put the layer up there. So when iTech gets that fixed, we'll be set. Okay. So you could make your own web map, but it would only be accessible on campus. All right. Okay. So we got that up. So the assignment will be to take your own data and basically follow that through. And I'll put the text up for what we just did. I've got it almost done, except for I don't have the styled layer descriptor text up there. But the assignment will be to publish your own data. All right. Anybody have any questions? I know we're still having some technical difficulties from the coast, but if on the coast, I'll send you a message when it should be accessible from the coast. What you should do for now is send me your data and I can post it, and then you can proceed from that point. And then you'll be able to, because you can edit the style layer descriptors and all that stuff from the coast for sure, because all you only need is the web interface to do that. But getting your data up here does require that we have a connection. Okay. Sorry, did you have a question? Okay. All right. Anybody have any other questions? We'll go ahead and end there today then, and I'll go ahead and end the video and post the link of the video.